inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. Hey, what's going on, ladies? Welcome back to the official live recording of the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. I'm super duper excited to be here today. As always, we're going to get this bad boy jumping off sooner than later. But before I get into the juiciness of the details, I got to go ahead and give a shout out because I've always got this bad mama jam as close to me as possible at all times. I am not in the studio by myself. We've already got some people logged on with live access to chime in, but I've got my guest host, my co-host with me, hashtag Peekaboo, Miss Pika, who is also a podcast host, personality of Night Owl podcast. So we're doing this together though, so we can just have a really in-depth dialogue, so we can talk about some really opinionated stuff that's going to affect how we show up in business. So before we get started, Pika, you want to say hey to the people?
What's up, you guys? Peacock here in Singapore. I'm so excited. As always, doing live with August is a lot better than rehearse. I don't do rehearsing, and neither does she. So it's a little bit more off the cuff, and you get exactly who we are all the time. I'm excited. Let's talk about finance.
So I love to talk about money, especially as it pertains to a lot of people that's in my network, because so many of the women that are connected to me have like this they have really strong spiritual roots. And that's either because they work with different healing modalities, perhaps they were raised, with a heavy religious emphasis in their life, like Christianity and stuff like that. And so one of the things that I have to deal with on a constant basis is women leveling up and being comfortable with pursuing wealth. And I remember I saw a post from a woman who's doing really good in her business right now, but she basically asked the question of, when are you teeter-tottering, passing that fine line of not being grateful for what you have, and being too ambitious, wanting too much money. And so this conversation just exploded on her feed, and people were like, yeah, well, you need to be thankful for what God gave you. It's harder for a rich man to get in the kingdom of heaven than it is for a camel to get through the eye of the needle. Where your treasure is, that's where your heart is also. And it was just a really butchering conversation. And I want to say that maybe out of 50 comments, I may have saw 2 people that said, well, if God put the desire in your heart to want more, then you should actually pursue it. And somebody else said something along the lines, a positivity, what do you really think he meant when he said he wanted you to lend rather than borrow? That means that you have to accumulate wealth. But those comments, of course, got attacked, and there was just this really intense dialogue. And I want to take it really deep today, and I want to look at some scriptures. And, it's not about taking you guys to church, but it's about reframing your thinking. And so many of you, even if it isn't a Bible scripture, you've heard something like this in whatever religion that you study that would, be likened into the same mindset. But before I dig in and say anything, Pika, I'm interested, where do you stand, and what have you observed, regarding this money conversation?
I think we had a conversation about this like a little while ago, not that long ago, but just maybe, during Summit, something about an abundance mindset, and what the definition of each person has their own idea of what an abundance mindset is. For me, it's not necessarily about how much money you have, but how much you appreciate what you have. Like, I can do a lot with a little, and that's an abundance mindset. I feel like I have a lot. That's my abundance mindset. So I think we touched on that a little bit before, but yeah, wherever you want to start, we're good.
Yeah, and yeah, you do have to have this mindset where you appreciate, the simple things that you have, but in order for you to be successful as a business owner, you've got to get into this mindset too of attracting wealth. Hey, Lynn, I see you're watching this. You have to get into this mindset of attracting wealth, and it affects the way that you price, because yes, you can do a lot with a little, you know what I'm saying? And we do want to make sure that we appreciate those things, but in order for you to be able to serve the world, some of you guys have nonprofit ideas. I remember one lady telling me how she wanted to have all of these homes for women that have been abused so that they could be able to go and to stay rent free. But there's always kind of like this mentality that in order for us to get there, God has to like rain down this blessing for us to get there. And there's not as much accountability within the people that says, I have to go get this, I need to create it, and I should be comfortable creating it. You shouldn't have to have your spirit feel like you are potentially treading on offending God, offending the universe, because you want more and more and more and more. And so I'm gonna skim through a couple of things that I read, and we're going to start the dialogue. So in Psalms 35:27, yeah, I took notes this time, you guys, because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything. But in Psalms 25:37, it says that let them shout for joy and be glad that the favor of my righteous cause, yea, let them say continually, let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of his servants. Okay, that's one. So then in Psalms 115 and 14, and actually I'm going to go down to verse 16, bear with me, but it says, may the Lord give you increase more and more, you and your children. Ye are blessed of the Lord, which made heaven and earth. The heaven, even the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth hath he given to the children of men. And so my question is, are you dominating in the earth, or are you in captivity in the earth? Because this is ours. It wasn't just dominion over the animals. He literally gave us the earth. He gave us permission to possess the land. And so you have to really ask yourself, am I operating in a spirit of dominance, control, and effectiveness? I know a lot of people like to quote John 10:10, that the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. But if all things are working for your good, should you really be quoting that top part of the scripture as much as you should be quoting the end? Because what matters the most is that he said he wanted you to have life, and not just life, but he wanted you to have it more abundantly. When you read 2 Corinthians 8:9, it says, for ye know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich. Now there's a big debate all the time, and I've read a lot of posts that always say, y'all know Jesus was poor, and then you got other people that say he wasn't poor, but it literally says he was rich. And now it said that he for our sakes became poor. So he didn't lack wealth or abundance, and whenever he needed something, he always had everything that he needed. But as far as the way that he functioned, that's a completely different story. And it says, but he became poor, that through his poverty that we might become rich. Now, for my Bible stewards out there, my Bible bumping, thumping people, you're gonna say, yeah, but I'm rich in mind. I'm rich in spirit. Okay, yeah, but that word happens to be rich in abundance of outward possession, not of your inward man. And so once again, I'm just saying, if you're gonna look up this stuff, you have to study it. Matter of fact, The Greek word for it is pluteo, and it means to, and like I said, be rich and to have abundance of outward possession. Then we get to Deuteronomy 8 and 18, and everybody love to read them from Deuteronomy 28, whether you're going to be blessed or cursed. But let's go to 8 and 18, where it says, but remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability. He gives you the ability to produce wealth. And so he confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors as it is today. So when you are waiting on a raining day of blessings, you are not operating in your God-given abilities. I say this all the time. You have the ability to create wealth. And a lot of you all aren't taking ownership for that. And when you do create wealth, then you are confirming and reaffirming the covenant that he gave to your ancestors. But we like to talk about generational curses. It looks like some of you guys are still caught in the curse of poverty that maybe your ancestors had, but you need to be the one that actually breaks the curse and steps into the spirit of wealth. And then last but not least, I wanted to give this one. It says, and this is a favorite one I love to quote all the time. It's 3 John 1 and 2. It says, beloved, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in health even as your soul prospers. And I'm going to tell you what's wrong with a lot of you guys is that when you read that scripture, what you really read is, beloved, I would love above all things for you to prosper and be in good health after your soul prospers. Because the vast majority of you, hey, I see you out here on with us too, Danielle and Jeff. What a lot of you all are thinking is like, okay, I want to prosper. I want to get some things. I want some things to work out. But then when things don't work out for you, the first thing you want to do is step into a state of sin consciousness and say that God is not blessing you because you messed up, because you sinned, because you cussed too much, instead of saying that you didn't get the understanding. But God didn't say, I want to bless you after you get all of your stuff together. He said, I want you to prosper and be in health as your soul prospers, AKA hashtag work in progress. And so I could go on and on and on and on and on, but everything that I've just read is talking to you about the fact that the expectation is for us to be rich. And some, I prefer to use the word wealth because we know that there's a difference in the state versus the state of having a lot of money versus the ability to retain it. But we get the gist of it. I always got to watch myself for my extremely anal people. But the bottom line is, with everything that I just read, we have proven, number one, God was rich. Number two, he wants you to be rich, meaning outward possession. Number three, you have the ability to create that yourself. And number four, you should have the expectation to receive abundance financially, physically, mentally, all of those things as you are going and growing through your life. And so where do you really stand as far as that is concerned? Because for real, many of you all aren't walking, talking, acting, or breathing like you're supposed to have it all right now. You literally have this kind of conversation where you're supposed to suffer, and the only riches that you're going to see is when you get to heaven walking on the street paved with gold. Let me tell you something that's old, because my ancestors did that already. Come on, Peekaboo. I just said I put a bunch out there.
I kind of want to keep on that abundance mindset. You were talking about Jesus and how people said that he was a poor man, though. But look at how he lived his life. He had plenty to lend. You mentioned that earlier, too. He wasn't stingy with what he had. He made sure he gave everything that he had whenever he had the chance. And I think that's kind of where I'm sitting as far as abundance mindset. I can do a lot with a little, but I always would like more. And that's where I'm trying really hard to make sure that I'm open to the idea of receiving more. A lot of people want, but they don't feel like they deserve. They don't feel like they can accept more if it comes to them. It's like they're still in that trade hours for money kind of mindset, which is why entrepreneurship is so hard for them, because as much time as they put in, they don't feel like they always deserve the money that comes to them, because it's not the same as trading hours when you're in the 9-to-5 world. It's very different. So it's like an internal struggle that you have to sort out for yourself, whether you deserve or not, and then what is abundance in that aspect.
Yeah, and I just want to be a little bit meticulous and pick on one thing. He wasn't poor, he became poor. And I'm saying that for the simple fact that I hate the fact that when you look at the way that certain people write things in the scriptures, it leaves you in this position where you don't get to see the fullness of a situation. If I were to translate that if I were to quote unquote write an entrepreneurial Bible, I would say that he lived well below his means. He didn't come down here and say, look at me, and I got all of this blinkage of what I can wear and do what I want to do. He came and he lived a very humble lifestyle, like the millionaire that you keep on walking past in the grocery store that you don't recognize because he got on his old faithful tennis shoes and his holy jeans. But if he needs to go to the bank and withdraw 15 grand for the hell of it, he can. But you got to look and make sure that that $15 draft that's coming out for Zoom doesn't end up resulting in an overdraft fee. So he wasn't poor. It says that in his methodologies and the way he moved and the way that he did things, that he lived a more humble lifestyle. And that he did that, and his whole experience here down on earth was to show you that you could come out of that and you could accomplish anything regardless of what you were dealing with. And yes, we are still on that worth thing that you said, because people don't believe that they deserve abundance. And that's why I capped it off with that last scripture, because that last scripture is saying, okay, so why don't you think? Why don't you think that you're supposed to be abundant and have blessings while you were on your journey? Most of you are like, okay, before I get anything, I've got to get everything in my mind and my life right. And then and it becomes this battle of, I'm constantly so conscious of sin that I can't believe that God would bless me. And I want to give an example. We got somebody on the line too. By the way, let me just make a really brief announcement. Some of you guys are watching from my main page. If you want to chime into the conversation, you want to put in, your 2 cents. You want to refute something I'm saying. You want to have some dialogue around this. Then you can always go to my business page and you can chime in from there. You can click in, you can come in on Zoom, and you can definitely join the conversation. You don't have to be on video. We're just going to put you on audio, but you can definitely join in. And I am going to ask my guests, if you decide that you want to chime in too, to go ahead and raise your hand. But back to what I was saying, you should have the expectation to gain wealth even while you're going through the process. And I love to use the example of Abraham, because Abraham was told by God, he said, get away from your city, get away from your kindred, get away from everybody that you know. And God was like, go to us. I'm going to show you where you're going, what you're going to do. So he went there and he just took a giant leap of faith. God gave him a decree. He said, everybody that blesses you, I'm going to bless them. Everybody that curses you, I'm going to curse them. And what Abraham did is that as soon as he got in a position where he was afraid, he lied. You know what I'm saying? He bold-faced lied to the point that he told twice, as a matter of fact, where he told the king and the Pharaoh, oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? This ain't my wife, this is my sister. And they was like, oh, well, by that man taking his wife and he had intentions of putting her in his bed, that was going to curse his marriage. And God did the man of each of them a favor and let them know that that was Abraham's wife. And they both came to him like, wait a minute, dog, you trying to get me hemmed up. You're not honoring the covenant that God gave you, and he about to curse my land. And they kicked Abraham out. And even though they kicked him out, they still blessed him with riches. Even when he lied, he still got blessed with riches. And so that's it's a simple example. But some of y'all tripping, y'all do some of the pettiest things. Some of y'all might think that was a petty sin, whatever. But the point is that at the end of the day, God gave him a specific decree and he blessed him regardless. And so I don't know what your dilemma is. I don't know what it is that you aren't or are not doing, that you think that is in alignment or out of alignment. And whether you're saying God or the divine, and you feel like your good energy, your positive energy is out of alignment, and this is why I can't attract what I want, because you know how emotions mess with the law of attraction. Where do you cross that fine line with believing that even though I'm a little bit off, I'm progressing? And in the blessing, in the progression, I'm supposed to receive a blessing. That's the part. That's the challenging side of the conversation, to believe that you deserve in your imperfections. Somebody.
Okay, let's talk about believing even though you are imperfect. That's something that I've been struggling with as well in the past. It's been difficult to associate the work that I'm doing with the fact that I should be receiving in response. I feel like sometimes maybe my experience isn't enough to draw from to be able to bless people, but I know that I'm 2 steps above somebody else in their struggle, and I know that because I'm just 2 steps above them, that I can relate back to where they are at the moment, and actually bless them with what they may need at, in their particular part of their struggle. But I also know that blessings don't always come in the form of money. It could be the fact that someone refers you to somebody else. It may be the fact that someone like you allows me to be live with you and talk to you and talk to the audience about what's going on in the world and the things that we need to change about the way we see things. I think a lot of it is in the way we see things. You mentioned the scripture where it says that it's easier for a rich man to enter heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. And I think that's also the way you perceive yourself. Do you feel like people have been teaching you all your life that rich equals evil, that people who hoard money are not good people? Or do you believe that it depends on the way that they accumulated that money? I know that I used the word hoard just now, but how do you feel about money as in besides living above your means or below your means? How do you feel about that accumulation of money? Is that something that you're doing to just keep for yourself? Or are you trying to get it so that you can do more with your life and give back more in different places? How do you feel about accumulating money in general?
Yeah, and what you brought up is a fabulous point. And I want to take that. I want to take it and I want to go somewhere with it because, and yeah, it's funny that you use the word hoarding, but the accumulation of money and this whole concept that rich is evil and non-rich is good. First of all, I'm not going to quote it to the T, and I don't know why I can't think of the name of the book right now. But I remember doing a study where a woman did more studying than I've done, and she talked about how the eye of the needle was actually a location. And see, this is why some of the things when you read the Bible, I can't stand the way that they interpret it. But there was a place where travelers, passerbyers, would have to go through. And so you picture the camel, right? Big old hump and on the sides of the stuff, and the people are sitting on it. But there was such a narrow passageway that the people that had a lot of things had to remove them from the camel so that it wouldn't be too wide to actually get through, so that they could then pass through and then they could put their stuff back on. And even in just giving you that vivid description and giving you guys something to go research and to get your studying on, let's also just make sure that the understanding is that it didn't say it was impossible. It said that it was more difficult. And I want us to really think about, well, what makes it more difficult? Because it's all about what your focus is. When I say that I want to do all these wonderful things for entrepreneurs, bless them to be able to build businesses where they're actually sustainable and profitable. And that's my primary mission and my cause for what I'm doing. That's where my heart is, because the scripture also says that where your treasure is, that's where your heart is also. But when we look at the word treasure, we're only thinking at it as far as money is, but it's wherever your value is, that's where your heart is also. So my value is in helping people. And in order to help people, I need this thing that we use in order to exchange to get. Then that means that I need to have the expectation to get money. And so a lot of us, we aren't thinking from that abundance mindset of the more I get, then the better able I am to give. The scriptures also say that I would rather that you lend than you borrow. Well, how you going to lend anything if you operating in a deficit? So it's okay to have a spirit of gratitude for where you are, but it's not okay for you to be stuck still and stagnant and not expect a blessing 100-fold, 10-fold, 20-fold, 30-fold, 40-fold, whatever it is, for all of the labor and for all of the things that you do. And so a lot of people will look at scriptures where it says, fret not over evildoers, even though, they seem to prosper, blah, 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 blah. But I want you all to really just challenge something. What are you reading? What are you looking for? Because whatever you look for, that's what you're going to find.
Yep.
I intentionally look through the scriptures to find the codes of success for entrepreneurship. I don't look at the scriptures anymore for walking in a state of purity. I've already had that season in my life where every time I was like, what does this righteousness look like? How can I be better? How can I serve? I remember where all I wanted to do was read scriptures about don't sin, don't sin, don't sin, don't sin. Well, now I look for scriptures that are always surrounded around prosperity. And a lot of you don't realize it, but you need to be deprogrammed, because no matter what it is that you claim right now, I want to say that if you put 10 people in a room, at least 7 of them have been exposed to Christianity. And if you've been exposed to it, then that means that that is going to be your moral compass for how you feel about money. And to be honest with you, if you're in the United States, you have 100% of you have been exposed to Christianity, because whether you think the founding fathers did a good job or a bad job, the bottom line is this country was founded off biblical principles. Now, I know they defacing a lot of things, and I know they changing a lot of things in the Capitol, but, you know, the 10 Commandments and scriptures and stuff like that were plastered everywhere. They biblical principles were what were used to create the foundation of American society. Now, I'm going to say something that's a tad bit more controversial. I'm not going to go there right now. We have to do a whole nother separate podcast episode for it. But, like, let's really think about this. If the 98% are ruling the 2%, 97.3, whichever percent you want to use, and if they're the ones who made sure they set up this system, when are you going to decide to stop thinking about whether or not it's the man, the haves versus the have-nots, the black versus the white, and all of this other stuff, and start saying, wait a minute, why don't I learn whatever it is that they learn and use that power for good instead of for evil? Because they have set you up in a system, and they keep on fortifying that system to keep you in a rat race of poverty, of working for somebody else, not being in control and creating the wealth like the other scriptures said that you have the power to do. They set up the system to make sure that you stay brainwashed, to stay at a deficit, to stay low. And you have to make the decision to say, wait a minute, what were they tapping into? And how do I tap into that so that I can change my wealth, money mindset, abundance mindset to have a greater expectation for more things in my life? Real talk.
So I want to kind of break it all the way back down, though. You're talking about, you know, the system itself. And I feel like, yes, everything revolves around money, money, money. But I was always taught that, you know, if you give love out into the world, it will return back to you tenfold. You just have to give it. You should give it without the expectation that it will come back. That's the definition of unconditional love. So anytime you get into a relationship, and I say relationship loosely because anytime you talk to people over and over again, that is a relationship. I feel like anytime you get into a relationship that you should give because you want to, not because you want anything in return. The minute you say, you know, hey, I want to do this because low key, I want you to do this back for me later, or you're going to owe me a favor later, that's not love. That is a business arrangement. You're looking for something in return. When you give love out into the universe, it will return back to you tenfold. You were saying something about purity earlier, how, you know, the scriptures talk about purity and how that equates to how you will be successful in your life. And I know in India, there is a caste system that people are still fighting to this day because it was talking about the work that some people want to do and some people hate doing. The caste system is based on how much dirt you allow in your life. Now, the people that were considered at the bottom of that totem pole, the untouchables, were the ones who clean the garbage and clean the sewers and clean all these things that people thought would make them unpure. But the Agori, it's a group of people who believe that, how is that even possible? If God made all these things, how is that even possible for you to be a lower caste and a higher caste? If let's think about this. The Brahmins are at the top of the food chain. They have to clean their house at some point. They have to go to the bathroom at some point. Don't they have to clean their bodies afterwards? Don't they have to wash their butt? I mean, how is that an untouchable work if in your body itself, these are the things that you need to do still? So I want to challenge all of that purity, that caste mentality. And let's talk about love versus money. If you give with the spirit of giving unconditionally, no strings attached, that is abundance to me.
Okay, and what you're saying is true. I got a couple of things that I'm going to bring back around to what you're saying, because you brought up quite a few things. And so the first thing is that if I was reading the scripture, I would read the scripture that said that God made the poor and the rich. And so we have to get out of our minds of this them versus us. You just have to be in a position where you're thinking from a state of power, what you can do, what you can create, what it is that you want, what your expectations are. Instead of saying, well, they have these opportunities, I don't. This is them versus us. Another scripture that I would bring up is that the word says that the sun shines and the rain falls on the just and the unjust the same. And so a lot of times, once again, we like to equate success or the lack thereof based on whether or not we are pleasing in his sight. Because if the rain falls, we say we didn't please him. If the sun shines, we say we didn't please him. And once again, even that scripture is left up to scrutiny for the simple fact that who in the world said that rain wasn't a blessing? You know what I mean? because you need the rain in order for things to grow. And so once again,
Yeah.
this is a strengthening your mindset. But I want to go back to what you're saying, because I want to tell you this first. That number one, I honor your perception, I honor your mindset, and I honor your stance. But what I want everybody to soak in is that you loving your child is not going to feed them. You know what I'm saying? Yes, this is not really about love versus money. And that's the problem. We're always having this conversation of, I just want to abundantly love, but what about the abundance of money? And not saying it this necessarily what you meant, but let's talk about the way that people are going to digest this. There's another scripture that the Bible says, "Oh, no man nothing but to love him." So love is something that can be given for free. Love is not a service. It can be an act of service. It can be an act of giving, but service is service and business is business. And God also said, when he was questioned by the disciples, to render to Caesar what is due unto Caesar. So if you owe him rent, then you need to pay him his rent. That expectation for there to be an exchange, the Bible also says that the laborer is worthy of his reward. And so, yes, guess what? I can love you whether I'm serving you or not in my business, but when it comes to a business mindset, in order for me to serve someone, I'm working. I'm literally working. Matter of fact, I was working long before I became this business owner. Every moment that I worked doing a business and establishing a business or helping somebody else with the business, when I didn't give myself the title of a business coach, I was working. When I went back to school, whether my business degree only pays 20% versus 90% in my business success, I paid a lot of fucking money and still paying money in order to be able to get that degree. Every single time that I labor with a client and I talk to them and I take time away from my family, when I take time away even from myself to give or to extend to someone else, that is hours of labor. And so what's going on with the mind of a business owner? You expect your money for your labor when you filing papers, when you're answering calls, when you're going to meetings, when you're sitting in conferences, when you're going to meet with other business reps in different cities and different countries. You expect your money for your labor when you're the teller and you're counting the money and you're giving the exchange. You expect your money when you do that form of labor. So why all of a sudden when you become a business owner, why does the labor that you then provide become a question of me just doing something good in the world to serve and loving people versus having the expectation that this is something that I worked for? Because we all have a measure of faith. We all have the ability to create wealth. But if I go through the grit, the grut, the hustle, the grind, the tenacity, the discipline, the commitment to become an authority, to give you the answers that you need, why in the hell do I not expect to have a conversation about money? Because I could love your ass all day long, but I did the work and you want the shortcut, and shortcuts cost because of my time, my energy, and my money to get you there after I'm the one who went to war, went through the mines, went through the bombs, went through the treachery, went through all of the pain that you're trying to skip, and you can't skip it all, but I can definitely get you to skip some. And so, yes, I'm going to love the mess out of people. I love in the way that I serve, but I'm also going to charge people because that expectation is got to be there to get paid for your services. And on top of that, not paid a little bit so that you could be like, well, out of love, I'm not going to charge as much. Okay, well, out of love, your electric is going to be cut off.
Exactly.
Controversy.
And I like the idea of that. No, but I love that because I'm seeing a lot of parallels in the 9-to-5 world too, because let's think about this. People interview you to see how much you can offer, how much value you can bring to their, their system created job opening, right? And if you do the same work in the system versus do you do the same work for yourself as an entrepreneur, why do we expect different types of payment? Why do we expect less? Why do we not expect the same amount of money? Like if I work 9 to 5 and I get paid like $4,000 a month, right? And I'm okay with that. I don't have to worry about that. I know that I'm owed that because somebody told me I'm owed that. But as an entrepreneur, I don't have the system behind me. And suddenly I have to work through these money mindsets about, well, why am I charging this much? And people question me all the time. And what do you bring to the table? And what are your, qualifications? How do you know so much? How can I trust that, you're going to actually serve me in my life? Why is that different? Why is that mindset so vastly different?
Now, one of the things you just said, though, is you were asking the question from the perception of the individual that's coming to you for help.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a marketing issue. That's not an issue with the people. That's a marketing issue, because the way that I talk, and I had to learn this the hard way.
Okay.
I would be out there and, I just want to change the world. I just want to help the world. I'm here to motivate. I'm here to inspire. I wasn't doing any call to actions. I wasn't laser focused on any specific group of people. And I was just out here at least saying I'm smart and I got something to give folks, and that, I can help. But I wasn't effectively or strategically marketing myself, which meant that I attract a lot of freebie seekers every other day. First, it was exciting, right? Oh my God, August, you're inspiring me. I want to do something with my life. And then they start asking a bunch of questions, and then I start answering a bunch of questions. And then before I know it, I'm coaching everybody and their mama for free.
Exactly.
It was on me. But when I realized what I was doing wrong, and I said, oh, hell no. Let me make sure that it's understood that I'm here for the non-excuse-driven woman. You know what I'm saying? Let me make sure it's understood that I'm a coach and that I got something to offer you and you're going to pay for it. The same kind of mindset that y'all need to have for everybody that's listening, that for what you have to offer, I'm laboring for this stuff. When I change my conversation, people stop following me. People stopped watching my lives, and for a second, things trickled down. But it wasn't long before I had an influx of people that were like, oh my God, August is the truth. I absolutely love her. And I had clients because I stopped speaking to lazy people who had no intentions of meeting me halfway. TQ's on here right now. Thank you for the love that you're shooting up on. Good. But that's a prime example. All them years that she went to school, all them years she sat working for a franchise, then the fear of jumping out on her own to start her own business, the studying and the certifications she's doing for continuing educating credits. But what, imagine somebody always coming to her and don't never have no money and want her to travel to them and do that massage and want to relieve their body of pain. And most of them are self-inflicted because of what they ate, because they don't work out, and so on and so forth. And then they have the audacity to want her to give her services for free. If that would have been her situation, I would be like, baby girl, you need to change your marketing. But people come to her expecting her expertise and expecting to put payment on the line because she lets it be known that she is open for business. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, not only are we not charging, we're not charging enough because we're not looking at the whole scope. My clients will tell you, I'll be like, baby girl, what does it take for you to be in business? Not what did it take for you to start your business? And you make sure you pass off the cost to the people that you're going to be serving. Because see, when you work that job, the reason why, and see, a lot of y'all get pissed off about jobs. Yeah, I get mad because these jobs ain't shit. They ain't paying me nothing. They only give me this, and the CEO.
And that's what I'm saying.
Off in jets and doing all this stuff, but the CEO has it in his budget to pay for that AC that keeps you cool, for the heat that keeps you warm, whatever service fees were required, or to purchase those vending machines, the desk that you sit in, the computers that you use, the carpet that you walk on, the construction of the building, the lease on the building, the insurance on that, a fraction of the percentage of the insurance for you. They paying for all of that. So why don't you grow the hell up and start charging for that? Because now it's your AC that you're burning every day in your house. Because now and let's really look at this from a practical standpoint. Your utilities are less when you work a job, because you go all day. And if you're smart and you set the thermostat, it ain't kicking on and off, because who in the hell is trying to cool down and heat up some fucking furniture? But when you when you're an entrepreneur and you working home, now your stuff is running all the time so that you can stay comfortable in your workplace. You need that air conditioner to be kicking on. You at home using more toilet tissue, eating your food all day. You the one you are accumulating the cost in order for you to be able to be in business. And so y'all wonder why y'all pay so much for such little. It's because those people have internalized the mindset of saying this is the cost of running a business, which is why I like for people to say that they're business owners for real, more than entrepreneurs, because when you take ownership of something, you take care of something. Entrepreneur just seems to be a glorified term that you're calling yourself, but baby, you a business owner and you need to get up and start acting like one.
That's exactly right. And I wanted to go back to that mentality. Why is it we are so comfortable to complain and like run our mouths about, oh, well, they don't know what they have in me. I could quit. I could do this. You know, you have this like this sense of obnoxiousness that comes over you when you're safe in the system. But when you step out and you do this for yourself, suddenly you got imposter syndrome you're trying to fix. You got these things that you're afraid to ask for, you know, help from people, or afraid to tell people, look, I love you to death and you're my cousin and we've been talking forever, but this is not something that I do for free. This is something that people actually pay me to do. So I'm not going to continually be there to beck and call. This is my business. This is my life that I'm trying to provide for my family. So I like the difference, like trying to point out the difference that, you know, when I did it too. When I was working a 9 to 5, I was like, man, I hate these people. They never let me do what what I know that I can do. And they can't pay me enough. That mindset of they can't pay me enough. They don't know what I'm worth. Yeah, okay. But when you step out and do it for yourself, why is that completely like disappear? Why is it suddenly like, oh, well, can I really do this? Because no one says that I'm, you know, there's no job title and there's no hierarchy above me. I am the bottom line. The buck stops with me. And suddenly I have this imposter syndrome and I'm scared to ask people for stuff and tell people that I'm running a business. Why is that? Why is there such a difference? You're still doing the same damn work.
Yeah. Hello. And TQ said no one looks at the back end or overhead. They just see the price tag. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's real talk. But let's go there. And I don't know if she wants to talk or not. I'm gonna put her in a position to be allowed to talk. She'll be able to unmute herself in a second, because I'm really looking for somebody else to dig in and chime in on this before we get ready to get out of here. But there's a mask that we wear, because now when I have the job, you have told me that I am the manager. You wrote it out. Okay. You've told me that I am your COO, your COO. You have told me that I am deserving of this raise once I get my performance appraisal. Now you got to tell yourself. Now you got to say to yourself, I'm worthy and I'm going to get this. And so a lot of people, you have to admit that you are still living through your degrees, your certifications, your positions, and your titles. All of those things that came from a system that was structured, as we said before, to keep you oppressed and to keep you down, instead of operating from your own power and your own strength. And so when you don't have that mindset, that's why people are mindset coaches, to help get you there, because you don't have it on your own. It really does take somebody else to look at you and be like, girl, you know you're doing all of that stuff, and I know somebody paid $10,000 for you. Be like, yeah, you only charging $97. Wow. But let me see what she said. She said money is also a communication tool. People sometimes place a higher value on products and services they have to pay for versus free or cheap. Absolutely. And it makes a difference on the kind of people that you attract based on what that price tag is. And everybody else knows it. Walmart knows it. Walmart and Target. But Walmart and Target got at least 50% of their stores. It's the same stuff. You're gonna get you gonna Cheerios at Walmart. You're gonna get Cheerios at Target. You want Charmin or Angel Soft, tissue at Target. You're gonna get it at Walmart. But what you're not gonna get is you're not gonna get the same experience. And so it might only be a 2 or 3 cent difference. Some of those products are actually about the same in price. But when you get to the clothes, the price of the clothes and the shoes are going to be different, but the longevity of how long they last. Go ahead and just try a bunch of, 10 times and see which one of them starts losing the thread versus which one holds together. When you look at the caliber of the furniture that they sell for home decor and stuff like that, it's not the same. When you walk into a Walmart, you expect stuff to be rearranged all off the shelves, falling down and all over the place. You expect somebody, when you say, where do I find this set, to tell you to go down to this aisle, and it's the wrong damn aisle. When you get ready to go stand in line, you expect to be looking at a plethora of cashiers that aren't open and to do self-payout. When you go to Target, which specifically markets to middle-aged married women that are middle class, then what do you get? You get an experience that is more friendly. The aisles are wider, which is more convenient for mommies with their children. You know what I'm saying? Walmart is like, let me get as much stuff as I can in this space, and let's see if we can't trap mofos up in here. So the longer they in here, maybe the more that they shop. And so
their ideal client is everyone.
Yeah, their ideal client is everybody that's looking for the cheapest bargain, and they will deal with whatever experience to get that bargain. And so you could have somebody that has a lot of money, rich, not wealth, that will still have a lot of money or have a lot of material possessions like a Jaguar, that will still go to Walmart when they could go to Target, instead of saying my goal is to never go to Walmart again, because they would rather get the cheapest thing so that they could be able to hold on to their material possessions. See, a lot of times we look at what people have and we think that, oh, because they have these things, that means that they're well off and that means that they're okay. But in order to maintain that Jaguar, they got to go to Walmart, where the person has decided that they're going to keep their 2009 Nissan Maxima because it still runs just fine, has their budget fine, and they're like, you know what? I don't want that experience, and I don't want somebody harassing me coming in the store, going out the store, or trying to sell me shit while I'm in the store. So I'm going to go to Target. So they market to two different demographics. They market to people that want a different experience. Same thing with Walgreens and CVS. Walgreens was more of like, let's a medical dispensary. You only come in here so that you can give your needs, and whoever wants some medicine, you know, a lot of older geriatric patients, whatever. But CVS came on the scene and they said, we want to pull in women. And how did they do that? They did that by making sure they had bright colors, things that would attract us. Walgreens used to have some high-ass shelves. CVS is the one who changed the game, that said a lot of women, we want women, and women are not 6 foot tall. So why do we have these shelves that they got to stand on the bottom shelf and do like this to try to reach up to get what it is that they want? They specifically designed their store to be friendly to women. So what are you doing to your business to design it in such a manner that you attract the kind of person that wants to pay you? So that you can quit putting your head in the sand and expect to get paid and expect to get your abundance. If you're not getting what you want in your business, that ain't nobody's fault but yours. And you have to go back and recheck and do a self-evaluation. And so the beginning of this conversation gave you all of the spiritual bullshit that you've been feeding yourself, the reverse of it, so that you can actually believe that you deserve to get money, because that's the way that God designed you to. He designed you to get money.
I'm glad we started with all the faith-based information first, and then we broke it down to what it means for business here today, right now. And all of it comes down to mindset. What do you believe about yourself? And then what are you telling people to believe about you too? So all of that marketing and then all of that mindset is so important. You just saw August broke it down for you between CVS and Walgreens, and then Target versus Walmart, and they sell the same products. It's all the same products. It just depends on where you need to go, where you want to go, where you prefer to go to get what it is that you need. It's the experience. So with that being said, I know there are plenty of businesses out there that don't look fancy, but the way they're positioning themselves, they're actually able to get the right clients because they know what they're offering. They're not giving a ton of freebies. They're not doing, a different opt-in every week or whatever. It's the same opt-ins, but the funnel is different. So if you want a little bit more information from me, if you want to have me hold your hand a little bit more, that's going to cost you, because my time is finite. I don't have just, all kinds of time all day long. And time is one of those non-renewable resources. Once it's gone, it's gone. You're not going to be able to get it back. So when we do things like this, and we, bring all of these problems that everyday people face to the forefront in these live videos, we want you to chime in. And that's even after the fact. If you didn't get to catch this live, ask us questions so we know exactly what we need to hit the next time we get on live. We get on live every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, whether you're in the States or if you're overseas, obviously this video is still up there. Go check it out. Go ask questions. Because if you don't ask us, we don't know how to serve you best.
No, we don't. And it's funny to me how many people will even use the excuse about what they don't know or how it's not fair and, what they don't have access to. And this person has more opportunities than the other one. But a lot of you all don't chime into opportunities like this. You know what I'm saying? You keep hearing ask the questions. You keep hearing chime in live, but then you don't do it. And a lot of you, so I'm kind of just going on a tangent, and before we get ready to close, a lot of you will look at the big dogs in the industry and you're like, I want to be like that. I want to do what they doing. But what you fail to realize is that to get coached by them and to learn what they know and to get what they get and to do what they doing, you're not ready, boo-boo. You're not mature enough yet, because you don't have your finances in order. They gonna want to put you directly into a system to do specific things. And a lot of y'all, whether you like it or not, you still wrestling with who your ideal client is. You still wrestling with your pricing. Some of you, you haven't even strengthened your packages. You haven't strengthened your packages. You just want to hear somebody tell you something to make you feel good, to tell you that you should put an extra zero behind what you offering, because the only thing you are thinking about is the money. So that you like, because I put it to you like this. I had this one client and she was like, yeah. She's like, I want to make $10,000 a month. And so I'm going to charge $2,000 a month. And that means I'm going to work with 5 people every month. And then that's how I'm going to make the kind of money that I need in order to live the kind of lifestyle that I live. And I said, I'm not saying that that's not possible. I'm never going to tell somebody what isn't possible. But if somebody were to come to you right now and give you $2,000, what do you have to bring to the table? What do you have to bring to the table? What is that experience going to look like? And then let's see whether or not you could really hold the weight of $2,000. We're not going to even get into the discussion that she was actually marketing to a group of people who would 9 times out of 10 go to spiritual peers or something like that, or use insurance to deal with their issues. And so in order to even break into that threshold, to get around the kind of people that would spend that kind of money with her, she was nowhere near that. And so it was like, for the moment, in humility, where are you going to start your pricing at? And that's something that some of you all don't look at. That's maturity. That's not dumbing yourself down, but that's also saying, okay, if I can only charge this much, then maybe I need to look at scaling back how much it is that I give. That's a whole nother other thing. And that's something that you work with through a coach in order to be able to understand the difference. But that's an example of doing what we said before, where the only thing you're doing is thinking about the money. So all you do is you say, I'm gonna put a price tag on something. This is how much I want to get every month. This is how many people I'm gonna serve so I can make this much money, when you haven't done your due diligence, you haven't done your market research, you haven't created a product or service that's going to be easily digestible by somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You haven't created the experience for people to say, you know what, I don't think $2,000 is enough. You should be charging more, but thank God I caught you while you're only charging 2. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of responsibility that goes into breaking into those different venues and saying, this is what I have to give. You can't just go to somebody, oh yeah, I'm gonna be your consultant and I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know, and they're gonna be like, okay, so, and exactly how you do, oh, it's just gonna be me, I'm gonna be brilliant, I'm just gonna show up and I'm gonna tell you everything. And here they are, they looking for a workbook. You don't even got a workbook. You know what I'm saying? Something as simple as that, because they need, you don't even have a hands-on training model. You talking about you want to serve X amount of people, and in order to do everything you need to do for them, you actually do need a team of 1 or 2 people to support you. You don't even have any support. Your customer experience is gonna be so shoddy that it's going to tear your reputation apart. You should always be applying the wow factor so that people are like, dag, man, it seems like no matter what you pay her, she always going to blow your mind. Or, for my gentleman that's watching, he's always going to blow your mind, that you're going to always feel like you get so much more value. Not necessarily service, so you don't run yourself in the ground working for people, but so much value that people can't help but to refer other people to you. So, we kind of...
This came all the way back around, because we were talking about how much you deserve, how much you believe you deserve, what you actually consider wealth versus riches, all of those things. So we went all the way off tangent and came right back around to prove the same damn point. It starts with you. What do you believe? Do you believe you deserve? Where does that come from?
Absolutely. And so we already seen it, 51 million times through 51 million scriptures, that the word riches literally meant outward possessions. It is the expectation that you will gain wealth because you are able to create it. And so some of y'all need to stop reading this stuff that's programming your mind to be like, oh, okay, well, as long as I got love and I got God, I'm going to be okay. You keep on having love and you keep on having God and you keep on being broke. But I'm going to tell you right now, being broke when you got a spiritual gift that you using is ungodly. And that's all I got to say about that.
I love how you did that.
That's all I got to say about that. So look, everybody that joined us for the podcast live today, thank you. There was so much energy. Oh, it's Jeff and Jacqueline, Marcia. I see Lynn.
I saw Crystalline and Carrie. My cousin, my brother John is on here. A lot of people. So look, I love that y'all joined, but this is the expectation next time you join. Ask questions. Join in the conversation. Don't just watch quietly, like peeking around the corner, like, what are they doing? Let me tell you. So join in the conversation. We want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, be humble and be willing to say something. Ask a question. Be like, oh my God, I'm so glad you talked about this. I wrestled with this. Because you might be lucky and I'll pull you on live and we can have a conversation and you might just get something said specifically to you that could be your breakthrough at that moment. That is
the point. We are live, people.
We live. We live for you to get that. And I'm going to tell you something. That's a superpower for a lot of you coaches out there that you don't even realize that you possess. I remember telling somebody that they could get 15 minutes worth of conversation with me. That's all I had. And they were like, oh, and I said, you better get this 15 minutes. And you want to know what happened in 15 minutes? And they ended up sending me a long message like, oh my God, you gave me so much to think about. They couldn't even handle the amount of work that I told them that they needed to do in 15 minutes. It was something that I was like, look, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to bless you for free real quick. You got to do this, and this. And if you do all of them things, it'll position you to be able to come back to in a manner in which you could pay me. And they did. But you guys don't even understand how valuable intellectual property is. Lord have mercy. Okay, so we ain't going to go. That's another segment.
Next, yes.
There's another segment. Those of you that are watching and listening, join us every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The podcast is being recorded live.
So y'all better come prepared next time. As soon as you see that, that title come up, you better be like, all right, well, what do I need to know?
Yes.
Because those of us who serve, we serve all the time. Y'all just don't realize. You just get upset when we ask for money, but not knowing that August goes live how many times a day? I do a podcast. I put posts up. I mean, I do it daily.
Come get the juice, y'all. Come get the juice. Mm-hmm. And for those of you all that got any questions for me, private message me so you can learn. Well, but Leah said she was driving, so she couldn't comment. Girl, next time, hit the Zoom button so that you can be on. You ain't got to be on the camera. You can just have your headphones on. Chime in and give us some conversation because I know you have something to say. Y'all, Lynn is a powerhouse. She's a freaking powerhouse. But that's cool. And we know sometimes it ain't going to always work for everybody. But eventually, this is only the second time.
Yes, now you know.
Be in your brain. You're going to be like, the podcast is live. The podcast is live. Let me chime up in that bad boy. Hop in real quick. And you don't have to wait till the end. Last week, we had people that were chiming in the conversation probably like 25 minutes in. All you got to do is raise your hand. This time our listener decided to type her answer in. Maybe next time she'll talk to us. But, nevertheless, hey, I'm glad that we all were here together. And I'm going to get ready to let y'all go out of here. Pika, thank you, because it's, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up. So if I can show up live, I know y'all can show up live. Y'all better come with questions, though, next time. I'm telling you. We don't do this for fun.
We do this.
It is fun.
It is fun, but we do it for y'all. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomen.don't bitch podcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in